Doing it, and what progress have you seen? Obviously, there was some progress from game 1 to game 2, and you're going to need progress from 2 to 3 to beat this team.
Two of our better practices, you can start there. I just think good spirit to what we're doing. I thought we were moving the ball better on offense, getting better shots, a little more cohesiveness. Mississippi State was a very disruptive team on defense. It was not the greatest matchup right out of the chute. We didn't handle it very well at the offensive end, and so we kind of go back to the drawing board on that. I thought we started with how we defended Texas Southern. We were more aggressive. We were way more active. We were able to create turnovers with our pressure, and that I think got us instantly kind of engaged in the game. So some positives at that end, but we're still like figuring things out on offense. And there's again, I think we were further along, before we added Jose, but we add Jose, and then there's an adjustment to that, and because he's a unique type of player, and I think it's worth the adjustment because in the long run he's really going to make us better, and there'll be a little bit of growing pains with it in the interim until we really start figuring it out.
Have you heard anything about Adam Miller?
We have not heard anything about Adam's status yet.
You had talked before about how last year you got guys like Devin and Washington that had played a lot, and these guys are they're younger, not as tested, so do you think that's kind of the biggest reason why the offense has been slower to come around?
The experience of those players, and again, the Warren and Dez played together. Devin and Dez are brothers, so there was a natural connection, even though and then there was 6 guys returning on that team. So this team's a little different that way, and it's still, we're still finding our rhythm, certainly on offense, and how the ball is going to be moved. And I mean, I said it after the last game, even for Jemiah, just a new role, as much as he's done in the offseason, it's still an adjustment in real time in the game. But I'm not like overly disappointed. I would love to have performed better against Mississippi State, but I think we took a little bit of a step versus Texas Southern, and hopefully what I'm seeing in practice translates, to the floor tomorrow.
How much would you say that you're strategically similar to last year offensively?
I think that we could do a little bit more in terms of like guys like Jose and Kamari getting the ball in the mid post, even Jemiah with the right matchups with their size on the wing. That's like kind of, I think, the one difference, so we're still trying to get used to that. I think Warren was a little more seasoned than Sean, but I still really like when we throw the ball to him. I think good things will happen, and he's a willing passer, so, and then you have Frankie and Jemiah. So, I think there are some differences. We would probably be running Dez off a lot of screens and DJ and maybe a little more ball screen, but I think we're slightly subtly different, but I still think long term, we're not going to be, I think over time the numbers will work themselves out, so we're not going to be as bad as we are on offense, the rest of the way.
You mentioned after the win on Saturday, wasn't maybe the normal level of celebration you guys would have in there after a win. Is that kind of hunger and drive what maybe led to this couple of good practices you've seen?
I think, we've shown that we could, in some of these scrimmages and in Europe, really promising moments, and even in the offseason overall. So I think that there is a hope and a confidence that we can be really good. We just haven't done it yet. So we're, even though you win a game like that, you certainly want to win, because if you look just about every night, there are teams falling to lower Division I opponents, and so the fact that we're able to get a win and have more film to watch and starts getting better on the floor, and you could just say, hey, let's get better, and keep talking about let's get better, but like you actually have to go and do it like with real action on the floor, and that's what I liked about the last 2 days. And certainly UMass-Lowell has our full attention, and I told our players yesterday that I wouldn't be surprised to see them win that game last night, because I watched them play versus Dartmouth and totally took them apart in their first Division I game. So we have a legitimate opponent that has an experienced guard play. They were 26-8 last year. So we're hopeful for a great crowd, a great home court advantage tomorrow night, and because it's a good basketball team we're playing tomorrow night.
I think it surprised a lot of us at the beginning of the year that Gaffney would play based on how you described his injury. Where is he at in terms of recovery, and how is he just 80%, 100%?
Yeah, I mean he has been moving like himself, and I had to see that before I put him out there, because I would never put him out there risking this whole season or his future, because this is all he has left. And so if I didn't feel like I saw that enough prior to Mississippi State, I wouldn't have done it. Now I think where he had a hard time was just missing all that time, and then maybe out of sync at the offensive end, the shooting and different things. He's been shooting the ball so much better in workouts in this off season. It hasn't really come to fruition yet in the game. But today he had like a ridiculous reverse dunk on a lob. So it was like him getting off his feet, and his movement is pretty normal right now.
What does it say about him, just how quickly he was able to get over that and push through?
Yeah, I mean he's a freak, really, because I've played and I know I've had injuries. So when I looked at that injury the day after it happened, I was thinking it could be season ending. Maybe it was really swollen and in the wrong type of areas and things. So it was scary, and we got great news with all the imaging, but he really put his head down and worked hard. I think some of it is him being young and just his body recovering faster.
And when you're talking about the offense, obviously Jose coming in late, but going from, like you said, obviously all that time you had getting ready for the season, but from games back to practice, I mean, granted, I know it's only been 2 games, but like you said, in these practices, what have you seen the growth in the offense of these guys even just adjusting to each other?
Well, there's enough good players that good things will happen if we have the right intentions, the right purpose, and there's trust there. And I think that's what guys are still kind of figuring out, how to trust each other the way they need to on the floor, and just continue to make the extra pass. I think some of it was against Mississippi State. We really kind of put our head down and I'm gonna do it. And I don't think it was born in selfishness. It was more of hey, I want to make something happen for the team. I think we just have to have a touch more of a willingness to be patient and just trust each other out there on the floor.
I know you talked about this on the radio, but just with Ray's departure, just any additional thoughts that you might have? I
mean, I stand by what I said on the radio. There's the thankfulness and grateful that Ray saw something in me that was special enough to bring me out here. It's been, Arizona State has been such a big part of my life, for the last almost 10 years now, and just he made that a reality for me. And a lot of coaches don't get the opportunity that I was given to be in this spot that I am in, and I owe it all to Ray. And so I just I want him to be happy and just enjoy the rest of his life, whatever he's going to continue to do. But I'm very thankful that he gave me this opportunity.
Do you see this as an opportunity for ASU or its fans? The Sun Angel Collective has doubled its membership already in just a span of a few days, and the impact that has and fan engagement NIL has on your success.
Yeah, I said it too. There's a reason that all across the country people think that we're a sleeping giant. It's the magnitude of our base and the depth of our base of alums and fans that all across the country, that we could be an unstoppable force if there is true unity at this moment, and we are getting behind having the type of success that everyone envisions for football and men's basketball.
Do you have any thoughts about the characteristics that would make for a good AD here at ASU?
I mean, I think it starts with the ability to connect with the community, the ability to walk into a room and have a presence and be able to talk to people and get people engaged and get people behind athletics, and certainly someone that has gone through that process and has been in college athletics, an athletic department would I'm sure be helpful.
coach, back to your team's play on the other end of the court. Texas Southern, y'all were pressing them, forcing out of bounds, turnovers, steals. Are you guys looking, compared to last year's team, and obviously losing a lot of experience, losing all those guys in the portal, what is it looking like defensively, like as a unit right now? Are you guys, do you think, capable to play as you guys did last year with that kind of defensive first mindset, or is this kind of just like too early to tell in the season?
Well, I mean, we want to be able to sit down and guard people without gimmicks, and we want to be able to be, active, and we have good team speed, and to be able to get deflections, create turnovers, that gets us in the open court. We have guys that I think excel in transition. Don't want to have to solely rely on picking up and trapping in order to make that a reality. So we got to figure out a way to do it, with aggression and in the half court, getting multiple stops. As you start playing teams, especially, we get to, our non-conference is one thing, but imagine trying to trap USC. It's just not gonna be good. With Boogie Ellis and Collier and the guys they have, it just doesn't make sense. So we have to naturally be able to just one-on-one sit down and get stops and guard people, and that's why we were an NCAA tournament team last year, because of our commitment to doing that.
And speaking of your non-con and tournament teams, y'all are playing, Northwestern, you played Mississippi State, Lowell's really good. You guys have all these tournament teams before you get into the Pac-12, and Frankie said those games last year helped him prepare for playing Arizona, USC, Oregon.
Yep.
What do you think going into this year? How will this prepare you for your final Pac-12 slate, playing these tournament teams early?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a pretty consistent commitment to trying to schedule well and play hard games. I don't think that's any different this year in terms of those specifically neutral site opportunities. Playing Mississippi State next week, going to Vegas, playing BYU and either NC State or Vanderbilt, and then it's TCU and Northwestern here. So there's a lot of opportunities against other power conference programs to not only to get quality wins, but then also test yourself, so you kind of have a feel for what you have when you go to conference play.
We haven't talked to you since you got your guys signed, but it looks like you went for size. That's a big signing class.
It is. Our strategy will not be consistent. It's this year. I think we connected very well with the high school crop, and I'm not sure if that's just coming out of COVID and putting that behind us, or the NCAA tournament spotlight, but we had better traction with some top prospects, and we knew when Zane Meeks is gonna graduate, Alonzo Gaffney's gonna graduate, that whole position, so we have to be able to secure long-term answers for our front court. So that was a priority.
Did any of that have to do with the Big 12? And you and I had talked before about recruiting differently going into the physically bigger Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, it's just there were some guys that we did recruit in that core that we signed that we just had a connection with, that we were able to bring in here, and they happen to have good size to them. So I mean, that's a part of it, but also that what you're saying is accurate. Just the physicality of that league, the athleticism, and that is significant. So we got to make sure that we're prepared for it.
You tapped into the prep schools locally, and that's something you've done in the past. Is that how much of a positive factor is that?
There's probably no state in the country that their prep school basketball is any better and deeper than here. So we have to really focus on that. It was good to us. This guy sitting over there from this school called Hillcrest, that's right here in the back. This guy Jemiah Neal. So we're gonna try and focus on those schools, and we're right here, and they're in our backyard. It makes total sense, and the players are coming in from all over the country. So even if they end up going somewhere else, like in the case of Sean Phillips, he's on the rebound, he wanted to come back, and so at Kamari Land, same thing. So we're gonna make sure we try and do a good job with those schools.
Even though maybe it's not supposed to be like this, how much does NIL come into the conversation with transfers, or even with high school recruiting at this point?
I would say, depending on what type of caliber recruit you're talking about in the high school ranks, it's very significant. I mean, think about the top tier McDonald's All-American type guys, absolutely. and then it kind of depends where you stand after that. But in the transfer portal, and it matters. You know, everybody has a list of what's important to them. I think I talked about Jemiah Neal. Jemiah Neal trusted what his situation would be and how it could help him for his future, and he did factor in NIL to that, but it wasn't the number one on his list. Now, other guys that maybe isn't the case, and I would say a vast majority, it is one of the most important things.
Does it make it tougher to identify which guys are the right fits for who you're trying to bring in when there's that part of it out there?
Well, you have to just know, like, what if they're talking about like numbers that are insane, then you just move on. And
Yeah.
it's like, you know, we're going to be active, picking up the phone, calling kids. We have to be identify kids and players that want to be here, that money isn't their number one priority right now, because we do have to grow that and get better, just as Kenny and Willie touched on. I'm in the same kind of boat. We have to do better, and I'll do whatever I can. I'll do my part to talk to whoever I have to talk to explain, you know, how important that's going to be moving forward.
Thanks. Good to